Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would get busy on this Legacy Combat CV again. So I touched it a little bit off screen. I was trying to actually record that, and the game done screwed up on me pretty bad, and it crashed, and I had to restart my computer and lost kind of what I did. It looks like it kept some of the changes to the ship here, not much. So I almost did nothing since the last video. But anyway, I was looking over the comments, and there was a lot of great advice, especially on setting up a ship like this to try to work correctly. Now, one of the first things I did is I built this thing out of hardened steel blocks, and already, just by looking at that, the performance on this is going to be kind of bad if I run this way. And essentially speaking, I was heavily recommended to first build it out of carbon and then armor it where it needs to be armored to keep the weight and everything like that down on it. So, I mean, right now, considering that the ship doesn't really have a ship, it's like an outline of a ship with some of the guns on it, and that's really about it. Its secondary numbers here are pretty bad, and even the main numbers are not very good. So another issue I have with this at the moment is, or things that I shouldn't be doing for this kind of ship at least, would be having any turrets way up front like this. I guess, essentially speaking, a legacy ship, when it gets into combat, your shields are going to drop almost instantaneously. So it's almost like you're doing combat CVs without shields. And this turret up front here is just going to get popped like first thing, and it's just going to be a waste of resources. And it's something, in comments too, it was brought up, something I really didn't consider very much is how much repair costs you'll get after a battle. Now, on this kind of ship, you're going to take damage pretty much regardless, somewhere on your ship. But a more effective combat CV in this scenario would be to have it so it's relatively cheap to fix. So having like hardware up on the front of the ship, like a turret or something, kind of a bad idea because those are a lot more pricey than just replacing some blocks. So what I wanted to do is go through a few things here. To start with, I want to convert the hull over to carbon substrate for now. Now, I can always run around with a multi-tool and upgrade the blocks back to steel, hardened steel, or even bring them to combat steel. But I figured I'll start there. So what I got to do is I got to take a look at the ID here. So I'm at 1034. And then I've got a little cheat sheet I've got laid out on this right now. So we got ID 1034, and I think I might have done this already, but yeah. So what I want to do now is I want to replace blocks, and I kind of went through this before to make sure I remember exactly how everything works here. 1034. So basically, I'm sorry, not place blocks, but replace blocks. 1034, and then we want to go from. I'm trying to get this in view when I'm looking at the other screen here. Okay, so now we want to replace hardened steel blocks large, which is this over here. This is case sensitive, so I want to type in hull armored large. Oops, I gotta adjust my seat here. My God, I can't type either. Okay. Oh, geez. All right. I'm just out of place. I'm trying to like rearrange my seat a little bit and be closer to the mic, and it's very uncomfortable and weird. Okay, so we're going to replace that type of blocks, and we want to replace them with the carbon blocks, which are, if you can see right over here, your carbon composite blocks large, or bases and CVs, translate to plastic large blocks. So I want to just type in plastic large blocks, and then bam, it should do it. So now when we go take a look at the ship over here, however they're textured, they look like hardened steel right now, but it's actually carbon. So another thing I'm going to do here real quick is just change the texture to that. All right, so a lot of modifications to the ship to start with to try to get this dialed in. Now, one other thing I tried to do in that other video that crashed on me, unfortunately, I didn't spend very much time with this at all, so you didn't miss much. But I removed the turrets I had sitting on the sides and I put two tier or heavy weapons here. So currently I have some plasma launchers set up over here, so basically a 4-pack of them. I was trying to figure out where the heck to put those on the ship, and this was really the only good spot that I liked. Other locations could include like up on top over here, or even on the front area or on the bottom side of that, but I just felt for both looks and other things, and their distance from the front of the ship, thought this was going to be a lot better place to put them. And that's kind of what I'm looking, what I'm trying to gear the ship for. And here's something I don't really know is how shielded are the enemy ships in Legacy space. Are you going to have to do a lot of shield down, takedown with them, or is it mostly pegging away at the hull like they're able to do with you? So that is something I don't exactly know, but right now I'm planning on having like a lot of like probably laser turrets. I'm thinking something to take down the shield and then use this as a primary weapon. However, when I do get this to the workshop, it's probably going to come without weapons, so you can put on whatever the heck you want, and that's probably a wise way to go, actually, because I'm not 100% sure even how I want the loadout on it. I just want to make sure that whatever I put on there could work. Might not be the best choice, though. Anyway, so this turret is going to be a no-go, so I'm going to get rid of this one here a minute. And let's also, I was asked, how do you turn on symmetry? Let me define this here a little bit. So when you first get into symmetry, now you get here, and a lot of options actually, by hitting the N key on the keyboard, and it'll look just like this. So what you want to do is go on symmetry plane, and it's already kind of defined on this one. You won't see anything basically. It'll you'll click this, it'll be on that. You want to typically switch it to YZ. Now YZ for symmetry would be down the middle. And then there's one other step that you got to do, and you would have to set it. So basically when I'm looking at this, anywhere I touch with the left mouse button, it will put a symmetry line. So usually you would want it right down the center of your creation, and just be very accurate with that. And keep in mind, it will let you place it in the center of a block, and you must do that. Otherwise, like if I'm off to one side or the other, you'll have a disaster. You'll be working on it thinking everything's great, and then you look at the other side and it's one block off and all screwed up. So make sure when you set your symmetry line, set it right down the middle. Now you can run more than one symmetry at a time too. Like if I wanted to also have a cross symmetry or like a 4-way symmetry, I could set that as well. Again, by whatever block that you touch on will set the symmetry line. Even if I wanted it over here, I could do that. Now in this build, I'm probably not using any other symmetry besides YZ. Most builds use this, but it depends. You know, it depends what you're building. You can, with the space station, for instance, I often would turn on 4-way symmetry for that one. I've never actually done the 6-way symmetry, but that could be kind of fun to play around with someday. Make some kind of, I don't know, spinny spiral thingy or something like that. All right, so with all that out of the way, I was kind of looking at this, and what I'm going to be really concerned about is weight versus thruster performance, and of course armor and firepower, all within CPU. So it's a more complicated type of ship to build for sure. And I think I'm going to settle on like 4 heavy weapon launcher positions here. And at this point, I kind of want to try to get some of the block work in place, as well as kind of take a good look at the thrusters. Now, right now, I'm thinking I'm screwing up by using littler thrusters, and I know these aren't all that little, but this ship's going to weigh a fair amount when it's done, and these are not your optimal thruster solution. Actually, going up to the drive thruster, or your drive thrusters. Your 3x3x6 thrusters are probably a better bang for the buck. Since I'm planning this out to be a Core 9 stock, I think I might as well just go to that. I think in the end, it would be better for performance versus CPU. So I do have some drive thrusters here, some ion drive thrusters for now, and these might get upgraded to plasma too. I don't know. I guess it depends on what the performance is looking like when everything's in place. But what I was thinking about doing to start with is get rid of these reverse thrusters I had there, and I believe I can fit in a drive thruster in its spot. So I think that would be a better way to go, a little more performance. And not to mention, I think you're going to want that reverse speed as well. I'm going to try to get that placed in the right area there. I think that would be correct. Yeah. And I think if you also take a look at the body line right here, that thruster is clearing the body, except for this turret over there. Huh. Oh, maybe I can move them up one. Hold on, let me, if they go to one position up and over, and probably actually, I think the hull would interfere with it there. Not that I'm really concerned about this. Honestly, it makes no difference, and that's such a distance, too, that even in reality, I don't think it would make a difference. So maybe I'll just keep that for now. Strafing thrust is a big thing I'm concerned about. Now, I put these thrusters up here, and it's probably too close to the front of the ship. And again, you don't want to have your expensive parts, even if these aren't the only parts on the ship for your strafing thrust. You don't really want to get this stuff blown up in battles. And I don't have experience in Legacy Space, so I'm kind of going on recommendations and just kind of general knowledge of how ships used to work before shielding and things like that. So what I'm thinking, I also kind of want drive thrusters here and not little thrusters. But the little thrusters, I don't mind having maybe a set of those out front. And maybe in this back area, I should instead try to look at some bigger thrusters here. A little iffy on that, though. They do cost a lot more CPU. But again, it's kind of like well spent, more or less, because you're going to get better stats versus your CPU price. And it's going to need more stats than what it's getting right now. I can tell you right now that if I were to finish this ship up with the current thruster setup on it, it is going to be super slow and really struggle. And that's something I don't want it to be. I would like to add a decent amount of armor and weight to it and still have it move all right, if possible. So I'm going to try that at least. So what I'm thinking about doing, and this is going to be kind of an expensive change, but I wanted to get rid of these strafing thrusters and put in these big drive thrusters in its place. Because they will fit, and I'll probably move that other thruster so it's not touching as well, but they actually kind of fit in there pretty good that way. And then maybe I'll just leave a smaller thruster out on the front area. And the reason why I want to do that, why I want a thruster up here in the first place, is for your secondary performance numbers like your pitch, yaw, and roll. The further you can get something from the center of mass, and let me show you what that's about. I know a lot of you guys already know this stuff, but if you're new to the game and you don't, you can, in the same N key tool, you can go to the next tab over into debug, and you can show center of mass. Now, this will probably change. This is where it's calculating the center of mass of this whole creation at this moment in time. Now, once I add more blocks, it's probably going to change, but I wouldn't doubt it stays somewhere in the general vicinity. The further you can get the thrusters from the center of mass, on all directions, like up, down, left, right, the whole ball of wax, the better secondary stats you'll usually end up getting, like your pitch, yaw, and roll. Or it might just affect one or the other. Like one of my the stats that I try to focus on the most is the yaw, and that's your turning speed. Normally, I don't focus too much on pitch, and roll's cool to a point, but if it gets too high, it's like hard to control the ship almost, unless it's designed to roll as a combat maneuver. And this one, decent roll speed on it is probably not going to be a bad thing at all. But here, let me pop in like another thruster here. I just kind of wanted to explain what I'm looking at and trying to do here. And I kind of want to get into some block work here and try to make this thing actually look like something here pretty soon. But I just kind of learned my lesson in the past. Don't really try to do that until you can get this stuff out of the way. If you got your thruster positions and all that already kind of like set, it just makes it a lot easier and probably quicker for the whole build. If I were to go through the hull and try to make it all pretty right now, and then realize, oh, now I need to add a thruster here, move this or change this or redo this or something like that, then I'm just kind of wasting a lot of time. And the same thing, I'm going to try to put some drive thrusters in the back here. Actually, there already are drive thrusters there. For lift, I did take that big thruster that was out in the front area out as well, which was a drive thruster. Hold on, let me just take a look at the numbers currently. And you know, another option would be to leave some extra thruster locations, and even if they don't have thrusters in there right off the gates, it would be nice to have some extra slots in case you wanted, you know, say you got more CPU and wanted to get more thruster performance on it. Having some more slots for that is a great idea. I see that on a lot of other builders' builds as well, looking at the workshop and things like that and whatnot. So right now, performance is all right. Pitch is really, really weak, but then again, I hardly have any like down thrust and not much lift thrust either. The problem I have with lift thrust is I may not want to put on like drive thrusters for the lift, but the problem is it's kind of like it's an odd number on width, and I would like to put one lift thruster somewhere on the front part of the hull, but they only come in 2x2 sizes, so I think if I put in one of the big ones here, like I kind of had last time, I think, it's probably going to be a good idea. It's just, again, I'm not sure where I exactly want to put it. Now, I got a couple dinky ones in there, and I don't know if I like that idea either. But the further out I can get this thruster, or any of these thrusters, the better performance I'll get with the secondary numbers, basically. But, of course, if you put stuff way up front, it's vulnerable. I'm going to get rid of these, and let's, here, I'm going to try to slop one of these in again, see if I got that lined up right. Is that? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so I'm probably burning through a lot of CPU really quickly here, too. So we're up to 413,000 CPU. So we've got pretty good speeds in most angles. The pitch is kind of really weak, though. Yeah, and that is probably due to the... yeah, this is the only thrusters it's got for down thrusters right now. They are in the back. Sometimes a little thruster can give you some decent secondary numbers if, again, it's far away from the center of mass. Like, for instance... let's take a look at the pitch right now. We're at plus 22. If I were to... No, I'll just try to put a couple here for the moment, like in these two locations. These are kind of like a disposable thruster anyway. And if I put a couple there... See, now the pitch went up to 27. So, even a little ones... like in... it's at 27 now. But if they were way... up here, now they're at 29, so you can kind of see what's going on here. The further I get away from the center of mass, the better performance you're going to get on these secondary numbers. Doesn't make a difference on your main like thrust speed direction. So I don't know, I'm just trying to pick something in the middle here. Let's just, that can change later. All right, so as in turrets, now that I had actually, I think 4 turrets on each one of these kind of like extensions off the side over there before. Now I don't have any turrets there, so I got to think about that a little bit too. So here, let me snag a turret. Oops, I did that wrong. Here, let me just get the turrets out. I think I have those somewhere here. I still kind of want to have some turrets on these parts over here. And these, the strafing thrust up here might get moved. But I would like to double them up if I can, but maybe just ease them back a little bit more than they were. I had them kind of at the front here. But I'm thinking about kind of putting them towards the back side of these pieces here. Let me fill in some of this. And then also, you know what? Let's... yeah, that's the only thing that bothered me. That thruster where I put it right now, at least, would be kind of blocked if I did this arrangement. But I think it would be kind of cool if I would have 2 turrets again, but one above the other, and they both kind of are separated by some blocks in between too. Like something like that. They could be trying to make some nice looking pedestals for them or something like that. Some kind of formation there. The only thing I don't like about that again is that big thruster back there is kind of blocked by the turrets. I'm just curious if I can move this thing. Let me try that real quick, and what happens if I try to put it in a different position. Like, kind of hard to fit these sometimes. Is that right? I think that might be right. If they're up there, you see if they're up there, then it's got this part of the hall kind of in the way. And the medium position here would also have like that part of the hall in the way. So it doesn't really matter how I do it right now. Something's going to be in the way. I'm just kind of curious what that does for the numbers. Even moving these around a little bit is going to affect these secondary numbers a little bit as well. I don't really like them where they are. I kind of liked them where they used to be better. So let's put them back. That seems to fit better. It doesn't interfere with the hull, just the turrets up front here. All right, so another thing, these strafing thrusters here. Fortunately, I really don't want them there. Let's try to put them back over this direction. That's probably not going to be good for the yaw. 57. Let me do a quick undo, and are they back? Yeah. And what is it now? 60. Yeah, see, I lost 3 more points by pulling those thrusters backwards. So that's another balancing act on ships in general, is your thruster locations. Obviously, if you put them in the far corners of a build, you'll probably get your best performances. But that really forces you to build like very rectangular creations, which kind of sucks too. So now you can make up for some performance with RCS as well. I typically don't like to, unless I got a particular crazy design that really needs it. But other than that, I just kind of look at that as you're kind of like throwing away CPU for thrusters that could probably be placed in better places. Maybe. Again, it depends on the build, and it's not going to work with everything there. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I slide these thrusters. Oh, well, I've got that other thruster there. I wonder. So I can't wait to be done with this part where I'm fairly confident on it, actually. I think that's going to be helpful. Then I can get going on the block work. But, again, don't want to even start that till this is out of the way. So here, I'm going to try one other thing. I'm going to try to pull this thruster and put it in this chunk of the ship here. I might have to build up some blocks so I can place that. A lot of these blocks are temporary again. And I'll probably pack in a lot of Xeno in between a lot of this stuff too. Let's see if we can get those placed. These are kind of a pain to place. Okay, so if that was there and not here, and then these get pushed, I don't know, way back on the back side of this chunk of the ship here. I'll have to redo the blocks around there a little bit, and also going to have to be spaced out about that far apart so they can fit. And then let's get rid of those. So yaw 61, pitch 29, roll. Yeah, it's probably a little safer this way. Things are further back. Now, also in comments too, is heavily recommended to have decoys in the front here, as well as try to lighten those decoys up to where you might have a lot of hull mass or like a layer. And what is meant by that, I do believe, is like, for instance, like this this top layer here, kind of going back. Obviously, from the front view, there's several blocks deep, even though it's just the surface layer. But like if I were to keep on running that and then put a decoy behind that, like over in this area here, if it's getting hit from the front, it would have to go through all these layers before it gets to that decoy, and that's what you want it to do. You want it to be able to just take a beating even before it can blow out your decoys. So that would be a thing. So I'd like on this ship here, the way, at least the way it's set up now, I'd want to plan on like a decoy maybe in roughly this position, and then if something else lines up on the bottom side here too, like there's like a big layer of blocks here, maybe another decoy over there, and then this whole area again is going to be just about getting the AI to shoot it. And the most vulnerable parts I think would be these thrusters up here, but I really don't care about them much. That's just for the sake of a little bit of performance, and I guess it would kind of invoke, like if you're facing the AI in it and it's seeing these thrusters here as a target, as like being close up, and it would still have to like kind of shoot through this layer of blocks to kind of get to those, and that's so it's kind of like they're there, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this works out. Again, any other suggestions or comments are always helpful. All right, so now what I really got to do is figure out how to get a lot more turrets on this thing as well. And my original idea, of course, was to have a turret up here and then some more layered turrets on this chunk here as well. And maybe I'll still do a little bit of that. Let's just say we got some block work there. And hypothetically, I don't know if this is too close to the front or not, but say I had a turret around there. A cheap turret. You wouldn't want to put any good turrets on the front of the ship, but you know, that again, that's not that much further back from the other one. And then on this this plane over here too, quite a bit of space there for some turrets. Now I do like to have turrets also they have a line of sight towards the front, like this one would be over that one or to the side of it or something like that, so they're not one directly behind the other one. In this area here, like maybe the back part of this chunk here could get raised up a little bit, and then I could pop in like another turret that could shoot over that one there. And if I was a little crazier too, and if I was willing to widen this up a little bit, I could try to put two turrets side by side, something like that, which might work too. That would certainly allow for a lot more turret placements. Maybe I'll plan on that and maybe try to modify the hull to accommodate for that better. Let's try it over here too. And then we still technically have more turret positions like here. I don't know if I want to put any turrets here or not, or maybe turrets for like shooting down drones or something back in that area. So that would be a pretty good set of turrets on the top side. And of course we do have bottom side turrets too. Now, the way I typically fight, especially with a ship like this, is I'd probably normally have the ship angled up a little bit, like I'm shooting the bad guy over here, so I can kind of see him from either the bridge or the secure cockpit. So I don't really want to put much focus on turrets really on the bottom side of the creation either, because like if I'm tilted a little bit and I'm shooting them over there, then these turrets aren't going to have a line of sight up to that creation. But you do want some coverage against drones and other things too. So maybe just try to plan on a couple turrets on the bottom, but yeah, just centered and not like doubled up like I did on the top side. Like maybe like a turret there, and we're definitely going to want something covering the bottom side of the ship as well. So just all this is subject to change, but maybe like a turret in that general location, and then similar up here. Now, also in comments it was suggested, am I going to have a landing pad on the ship? And yes, I definitely believe I will. This is kind of, I drew a quick outline of where a possible landing pad could go, but it would make sense to have one. It's got the room for it, and I think that would be helpful to carry around some equipment with you, maybe a salvage or a miner or something else that you'd want when you're out shooting up legacy spaceships. So yeah, definitely that. I'm just kind of thinking about, like, what if it had a turret position around on the side over here too. That would kind of cover the back, so you got like 3 turrets covering there, a little bit more on the top side. You've got quite a few turrets here that would all pretty much have a good line of sight. Technically speaking, even these back ones would have some kind of line of sight, maybe. So they're not out of play. Now, this ship doesn't make for very good side mount turret positions on it either, at least right now. And I think that's a little bit better on its gun setup. Let me know if you think it's got enough turret positions. And as in launcher positions, here's another thing. I did a little checking on this, and you have, with Reforged Eden 2, you have your heavies, and then you have your mediums. Like, these are, so I've got heavy plasma and I got medium plasma, both launchers. Right now I've got some of these installed, but let's just say I put one of these on. Okay, don't worry, it's not actually going here. And then I hop into the cockpit, and then I take a look, and you see, this is what I was scared of. One comment kind of suggested that the mediums would fire with the heavies. But what I'm seeing here is they're in separate groups. So I could either fire the heavies or I could fire the mediums, but I can't fire the heavy and the mediums at the same time. That's what I'm seeing here. So basically saying if I ran heavy plasma launchers on here, I would not want to run any other light or medium plasma launchers on here, because it would be absolutely pointless to have on the ship, because I don't believe they would fire unless you selected them. But why would you ever want to shoot them instead of the heavy ones? So it's kind of like just a waste of everything if to mix that kind of grouping together on a ship. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there, and that's why, because I have those heavy plasmas, I don't want to have any medium plasmas or light plasma launchers on the ship. Now I can put in 2 more heavies as well, except right now I'm not finding any location really to put them. So that's kind of an issue. Kind of stack these up pretty good over there. I mean, the only other weird way that it could be done, and I'd modify the mounting bracket, and it's kind of be strange, is to, like, here, let me put in a block here. Say this came out to there, maybe even another one, and then I rotate these like that, and put the third set of these like that, or something like that. I don't think I have them quite aligned right now. I need to come back one more. Can I? So hard to place these big parts. Now let's put in the block there. Try it again. Alright, still needs to come back on that one. Yeah, like there. So that, I mean, that's an option. Kind of looks crazy, but it would work, I guess. Granted, you got a lot of expensive parts out in this general area, not too far apart from one another. There's at least a block in between. There's, well, actually 3, well, no, not really. Well, there is technically 3 blocks between those, and I think even on this one, the way it's set up. But yeah, that would be one option, but I'm not liking that too much. But maybe it could look cool. I'll leave them there for now, but I'll probably end up cutting those end ones off, and maybe, you know, trying to run 3 sets of heavies would be too much anyway. I don't know. It's never too much when it comes to firepower, but anyway, so that's where I'm at with this. So I think it's time to do a little bit more block work. Let's maybe start from the front and try to get this dialed in and looking a little bit better at this point in time. All right. So a little bit kind of was done up here with blocks, but not too much. Let me restock on blocks too. And let's see, how should this work here? Debating whether I want to, man, I can't see anything. All right, that helps a little. Let me just try to adjust the time of day a smidgen too, so I can see the edges of the blocks a little bit better. Now I could just ramp this up another block like that. That is one possibility. This doesn't look too bad. Maybe try to get a little I don't know. You'd have kind of an area to install some kind of I don't know, deco part or antenna or something up over there, which could be kind of cool. Let's try that, and we'll just kind of go simple with this. Bring this straight back to that position. And let's try something. I don't know if that's going to look good or not. Find out. I was thinking about, like, if it was going to be an antenna, maybe to put like a antenna mount block here or something like that. Again, a lot of these blocks are going to be converted to other materials. But I'll do that all at one time after the fact, and then line the inside up with armored blocks of one origin or another. Let me get some antenna pieces out. And I might as well get some of those while I'm doing it. Let's just see how something like this would look. Now, one thing I haven't quite decided too, and maybe you can make up my mind for me. What faction do you think this ship ought to be? Should it be human or Scar, or it could be Imperial? Won't be a good fit at all for Creel, I don't think. But it could be one of these other things. Just looking at the different antenna options, there's not really too many of them I'm super liking at the moment, but that could work. So I could do something like that, you know, just for a little decoration there. Could even kind of do some more antennas down here. Now, originally when I was first building this, I was thinking maybe I could embed some launchers back there, like some tier 1 launchers, but at this point in time, I don't see any reason to have them. If I'm running the heavy launchers, I'm only going to want to really fire one launcher type. And shield takedown on enemy craft would be done by turrets on this build. That's kind of what I'm steering at to keep the CPU cost down and not and put on the maximum amount of firepower, basically. So say I had something like that there, and then maybe, I don't know, pick a different model antenna. Maybe something different out to the sides here, like that. Give it some of that spaceship kind of antenna front end look a little bit. I don't like how this is blending together here, though. I'm wondering if I should swap out these blocks for the one with a little bit of an edge on it, and then change that one to kind of match a little bit. Not too much is going to fit in there wonderfully, but it kind of works. I got that. And then let's see the front end blocks here. I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't indent it a little bit here. Like I could go with just that, or I could even go with this block, which would extrude it a little bit there. Just trying to figure out what the best look would be. That's not so bad though. I don't mind that actually. But on the flip side, it could go inward, so it's something like that as well, which kind of makes it look like there's a little bit more framework there. But I don't know if you'd want to necessarily see framework right at the front like that. Yeah, you know, on the two options. That's the thing with building too. I do this so much. I'll try one thing. I'll look at it. Maybe try something else. But usually with the blocks and stuff, there's usually quite a lot of options you could do on every area that you're working on how you're gonna arrange that, and it's just gonna really come down to your personal preferences on what you think is better or worse. Here, let's pack the inside here with some blocks. I already know that the blocks I put here are gonna probably need to be armored, but for now I'm just gonna kind of fill some of this in with carbon and work that out later. And then we got this front one here. Alright, let's see if we can add a little trim or something over that. And got a couple different blocks we could use for this. We could try to go with something like this. I don't think that's going to look super awesome. Or this. And this is just more cosmetic stuff than anything else right here. Kind of work. Okay, so let's try to get a little feature or something in here. What if I should try to put in some curvy blocks in the mix here into the hull design, like something like that on the inside, maybe even up to the front, or one of these. It's alright. Once I get all this done, before I texture it, I'll probably start tweaking things even more. That's another thing, just kind of goes one layer after another. So I did this little part. This was a little bit of cosmetic stuff I did on the last time. Not much. I just had kind of this indent over on the one part, and it basically ran full blocks along the edges here and try to make like a bit of a pattern here. Let's try that again. See, but now these blocks look out of place because all the other ones tie in right, and these don't. This would look really cool if I could add a thin block layer over the top side of this, but that would disrupt the turrets and things. So I don't really want to do that. Well, let's see if we can count these out. Let's say we do, let's try every 3. So we got 3, 1, 3, 1, and 3. That doesn't quite line up to the size of that part. So let's try 2s. It's a little better. Maybe I'll keep the light on too. Yeah, that front block's bugging me. It really is. Maybe I'll just get rid of that strange thing I have there. That doesn't really work out either. So nothing so far is working. Just kind of trying to make this fit right, so it all comes out proportional and things like that. So this, we got 4 on either side and 3 in the middle this way. I don't really like to go every other one. I kind of like to break them apart a little bit more than that. Okay, what if we started at 1 end and then had 2s like that, and then 2 on the end side? That could work. I think that actually would work out alright. So on the inside here, we can also add some blocks of something. Not too many options will fit there, but we've got like a lot of this kind of thing. Could go like that. Or there's these, which could be tilted the other way too. Like that. I don't mind that. It's kind of a subtle, small angle in there. Trying to think of what else could work in there. Obviously these. That would be weird. That's kind of small for that. And then there's also these kinds of blocks, which could look kind of cool. These aren't good for size class, but they could look alright. Kind of like a more of a ship kind of ship look. pattern in there. Alright, so also turret mount positions. That's something usually I try to do some different base pedestal blocks around them. And a common one that I use a lot is these, which is really easy to do. And generally it looks alright. But to kind of like cut out something around where the turret would be, using that, then you can pretty much just use full blocks on the inside. The only thing I don't like about this is I've done it so many times already. It's like I keep on wanting to try to find something new, but I've been through so many different variations of this. It's kind of crazy. But this even looks better if you can add in like a cut in on the front and back of it too, like this. So now it's got like this gap there, kind of like it's like a kind of a separate thing, I guess. And in these places you would put this kind of block. And here, I'll paint that in just a second here. And that would end up looking like kind of a cutout for a turret mount position, about like that. And it doesn't require you to modify the blocks on the sides. Again, yeah, like I said, I'd love to put some thin block layer row up here and make some fancy shapes and patterns and stuff, but it's just going to be counterproductive for any turret that's up over here. I like that one. Okay, so that part's alright for now. Let's try to take a look at this hull on the side here. Just trying to figure out what I want to do with it at the moment. Just fill in that piece, and we'll just make that like a double wide layer that's kind of uniform to the top and bottom. And I'll do the same, maybe. Oh, that thruster's just enough. That's going to have to get changed. Yes. Now, right now, it's going out to a full block here, and I'm wondering if that would look better if it were a, just kind of maintain that cut in around the edge there. Definitely try that. Here, let me just run this back a little bit here. So another thing, where the old thruster used to be, it had some roundy blocks up here, which I kind of like the breakup of the roundy blocks in it. So I might keep at least the front side of that or something like that, even though the thruster's no longer there. But get rid of the rest of it here. I'll pull up the Xeno for now too. That's totally not a good spot any longer. Let's say I did that, and make that a little bit longer. And then we'll cap it off. Something like that. Plenty out of the way of the turrets and things that are kind of out there a ways, which is good. Alright, let's run this up with the curve to that level. Oops. Just get a couple more blocks in here for now. That piece there too. Yeah, okay. Again, it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of the look I was going for on this one. A little bit different from my norm. But yeah, with building too. So I've been building for a long time. I really like to mix it up a lot too, and that's why you see me going from one faction to the other, doing Scar or Human or Creel, or if I like do a space station or another ship, I'm trying to make most of them look very different than previous models. And that's another thing too. I try not to make too many of the same thing over and over again, but I am guilty of that with certain kinds of creations, especially miners and potentially starter CVs too. They tend to be quite similar, being like rectangle objects with as much as I can pack into them as possible. Okay, so let's take a look at this this extension now. I think the extension ought to be dialed a little bit thinner at this point, since the turrets are now pushed backwards. It's coming way out over here, and I don't think it should be. So what would feel better with that? I could make it really narrow and like start cutting it in about there. I don't know how that would look or feel here. And that might be a little too extreme there. How about if it went to that row? Something like that. So we got that part that's kind of and I think I'm going to do is change this block out here to this one, so I can kind of square that off. And I can run right to there. I'm kind of what this whole piece here almost looks like it should be maybe right at the front, or maybe the front should change a little bit here. What if it was here? Turn off. Oh. Yeah, it's just, I built this on the planet instead of space like I normally would do, just for the lighting, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to see even this. If I turn on the light, it washes everything out so bad right now, it's hard to see, and if I don't have the light on, I can't see either. Or see very well. I mean, you can see, but just not super well. Alright, so let's angle this part out here. So I'll swap that block out for this set. Let's see how that plays. So that kind of work. Okay, let's get rid of that row. Bring this in. There. And then cut the back of this off. Just got some kind of crazy tank up on the front bottom there. Again, it's just a cosmetic thing to just try to break up the hull Obviously, it could just be, you know, straight across here, but just a little something in there to mess with it. Give it a little more things to texture and more features, I guess. And on the front here, kind of wondering, I could try to do something a little unique here. Like, have these on the edges, and then maybe some pipe pieces or something that connect like the two sides of the tank together or something on the bottom side. Like one of those. It could even be two. I think it would look more interesting just being one. Maybe that other block I put in something to force a texture light. I love these little blocks for this thing. If used right. I don't think yeah, like, how would that work out? Yeah, I think that would work. Like right there, that, let me just show you how this would work out here. Man, let me grab a bright color for now and a big texture light. And if I get in and I paint this surface block, then you got just a little bit of it exposed there. And yeah, I'll create just a random texture light right there. I definitely like to do those. I don't like to see texture lights big. Like if I had a whole block texture light that size, I don't like to do that myself. I can, whoops, I can deal with like half block and thin block edges, but I do not like to just gigantic texture lights. Alright, so we got that little formation there. So now let's try to build up the area from here to that thruster and try to get this thruster to fit better somehow. And that's pretty ugly right now. Especially going with the frame piece here. And then I do got to tie the chunks of the ship together too. It's kind of like in different pieces right now. So for here, what I'm thinking I'm going to try to, with this ship, I'm going to try to use the more blunt edges on it. Like ridgeline edges, like if I'm going to do an angle, maybe do something like that. So you got like a flat, and then it angles. So we'll do that, and then pop in that. Just try to figure out how this is going to come together. And you know what? Oh yeah, the other side needs that too then. Okay, so this part here can go away right now too. Okay, so after this does the thruster, then it kind of needs to angle back up. And I'd like it to follow a 22.5 if I can, but that's going to be problematic in the corner there. If I did this, oh, that kind of works. And let's just to keep it in unison, we'll do that on the other side here too. Now, I do have the option to raise these strafing thrusters up a block row, but I kind of don't want to, because again, the numbers will be a little bit better if they're further away from that center of mass again. Alright, here, let's fill in some of this top wing area here. Alright, so we're at that angle there, which that would be, I think, that block. Let's try to go straight here and see where that winds up at. Looks like to about there. Let's leave a gap there. That's another thing too. How is this going to work on the bottom side here? So we got like another formation here too. We could try to make this into looking like a thing too. Again, I don't know. I don't know if I want a turret down there or not. I don't think I do. So, or maybe I can leave a turret position, but just not put a turret there. It's not a bad location for a turret. It's kind of close to the front, which isn't wonderful, but yeah, let's kind of embed in a mount position here. Simple generic one for now. And then along the sides, it's gonna pretty much have to be squared off or something. Well, that's a bit boring. What if I try to embrace something else here? Oh, that's bad. So basically, it could do this, like a little bit of an inset there. Alright. I guess that part's alright. Now, we've got some weirdness here with tying that into this. So I think this block's going to have to change to match the angle of the other block. Oops. There. Well, it kind of looks like this formation's should be a little bit bigger, but lines up to the turret. Yeah, you know, something needs to give here. Needs like a separation here or something. So I'm gonna try something. I don't know how it's gonna work out yet, but try to basically indent it there. Something like that. There's a bit of a line between that and the thruster, and then I could actually restore this back to that block too. Now down here, I can actually come down another block level, at least past this area here. So I might do that, and let's get one of these parts again. I don't know if I want it to come down a full block level like that or not, though. I guess it works. Well, we'll see. And how about a couple of these? And we can kind of close that thruster off from the bottom side there. Alright, so on the top, I kind of want to get some lines running here too somehow. I can't do a lot with this, but I can go with the old trick or stuff I've used so many times before. But it works. It's use essentially this block. You have to get it rotated right so you can paint it on the inside there. But usually it works out pretty good. It only takes one block layer up to make some kind of thing. I'm just gonna see if this is if I got this right or not right now. Put a darker color there, and I don't have it right. So really hard to tell which position you have these things rotated at. Let's try this angle. Yeah, that's correct this time. Alright, so let's put one of those. Oh, how far do we want to go with this? So it starts one before the turret. Let's have it end. Nah, let's take it way back. Why not? See what that looks like. Oh no, not around the turret, so. Yeah, like we'll put one there, unless we'll do it again. I think here, and then maybe here. If I got that right, and now we want to get rid of all of these blocks. Replace that with this one. Again, I want to make sure I got it right. This one I can almost tell. So, yeah, that top line with the diamonds at the edge, that's the where the paint line is, basically. Oh, I didn't really think about that button up to where the turret is. Yeah, let's fill that part in. And yeah, this is pretty messed up over here, though. Yeah, it's kind of a bad idea where I started that. Maybe if it just went in the back. Basically curious if I like these cutouts around the side of the turret or not. Or what if it did? No, that won't work either. You know what? I just don't think that works for it. So, yeah, let's try one other strange option. I don't think this is gonna look very good either, but I'm gonna just check it out a minute. Not really. Doesn't really line up to anything unless I wanted to match the formation where these side pieces are. That could maybe work. Let's see what happens. Oh, but then that doesn't work back there because of the other thing now. Well, let's get rid of that. It kind of works. And it kind of looks like that, I don't know, a freighter look or some kind of, spaceship thing. Which was a version of like this block that only went down like a little bit though, like maybe a half block, not like I don't know, 9/10 of a block, or basically goes down to a thin block on the bottom side. There's not many options for blocks like that though. I'm not real sure if I like those cutouts, but it does kind of make it look a little more, I don't know, industrial or something like that over here. All right, so let's work on one other part here. This front part's at least sort of getting together. Let's get this part here, and then I want to tie this front chunk of the ship to the second chunk of the ship, or the one right behind it. And see how that's going to work out. I'm thinking about doing is almost trying to make this look like it's like attached with some kind of hydraulics or something. Loose idea, at least. So what happens if we took, let's try to go with some big curve. And right along, let's, maybe at that level, probably at this level. Nah, I don't want it too deep. Let's put a bevel on that edge in a sec. Yeah, okay, let's bevel this and see how that's gonna come out. That might work. So if that looks weird. It's like maybe it needs a center one and then a top one, but it looks like it's off either way I look at it. Now, what if that was up to here? That would, yeah, line's better. And then try to add in secondary pipes. Just like old school big pipes, like right there. And I don't know, maybe even like way down here. Could be interesting. And then obviously a lot of this is going to be kind of just an illusion anyway, so just pack that in, some blocks, and what can we put down here to tie it together? Here, how about that's not a full block, and we go to this angle there and right above it. Okay, so let's make a change here and pop in that instead so it kind of lines up to the edge there. Kind of working. Another one of these. Maybe right up to the top like that. Or no, let's just do a thin block there, and okay, this upper level here. Wondering if I should swap them out to something like that there, and regular ones in the middle. I don't mind it. I'm not sure if it's exactly going to stay the way it is, but I don't mind it. Oh, you got some opportunities to put a little something in here yet, though. A little detail of one origin or another. Well, maybe something like that. Actually, no, I can't really do it up top. Yeah, it's kind of a weird ship for me. Normally, I go with wider ship designs, and this is pretty skinny. But that is an option to widen this up. That definitely is an option. I could literally chop it down. At least the front portion of this, I could kind of cut it and move it out a block on either side if I wanted to, and maybe that would work. Alright, well, at least it's sort of getting a little bit more work done on it. And again, when I build, this is very typical. What's going on right now happens with pretty much every build. I mess around and mess around and mess around until I kind of get something I like. Pretty willing to make serious changes along the way, too. But yeah, that front end nose, I think that's working pretty good. I wanted to have like a separation, like something you could physically see, like a separator between here and that chunk of the ship, and there'll be another separator here, and there'll be another separator back over here somewhere, going into the thruster housing eventually when I get to that part of the ship. So that's kind of the general idea. Now, right now, like tech specs and stuff, I don't know yet. I don't know if it has quite enough turrets or launcher positions. Again, I guess I'm trying to tailor this to have one primary launcher system, I guess you could say. So you could just, you fire that, and then when you're not firing that, basically you're taking down the shields. And I think with this ship at least, and please, if you got some arguments on that, bring them up in comments. That I was going to try to depend on like maybe tier 2 laser turrets or something like that for shield takedown. But then that kind of goes around the other question of I don't know what the shields are like on legacy ships that you're going to be shooting at. I don't know if they're like the ones that you find in regular space where your shields just get wonked, but their shields are hunky-dory. So I don't know how that exactly works yet either. Now, I'm still going to plan out this ship with shield parts and that kind of thing. They might not be installed when you get it, but I'm going to try to make accommodations for that. Kind of in this kind of lower central area and probably back into this area a little bit. I'm not really planning on putting a hangar back here. I know it looks like it could fit one, but I'm not. I kind of wanted to use that for a lot of parts, and I might trim this up a little bit too on the back, so it's not quite as lengthy there, or change it around a little bit more. I don't know. Got to figure that out when I get there, I guess. But I guess what I like about this part here, it kind of reminds me of like just a little chunk of an old like I don't know, like a World War II submarine kind of thing. That kind of look a little bit because it's skinny and kind of. Well, it's not quite round, but, kind of got a little bit of that submarine look to it. And I don't mind that, really. It kind of fits with the this whole look, more or less. But other than that, I think I'll stop right there on this video. Please, any suggestions? I am all ears. I love the suggestions. Again, I'm going to try to, utilize most of them as I go. And we'll see how this comes out. They are a tougher ship to. It's just a tougher ship to build. There's so many balancing acts between your thruster performance, between your weapon loadout, between your defensive armor, and of course CPU. It's just got all these things playing together, and you want to try to get it as nice as you can, and also try to have it look nice at the end too. If I was just building for pure performance, like I was building this in survival, and I was going against like PvP players, I wouldn't be building anything like this at all. I'd build blocks with thrusters stuck in them. I mean, so this is, you know, all about kind of like trying to look nice and work at the same time, which is always one of the hardest things to do in this game. They often go against one another. Other than that, y'all have yourself a great day, and I will talk to you later.